The medical station known as Aurealis floated above a quiet blue planet, circling in a calm orbit. It was a place where travelers from many species came for healing. The station itself was a marvel, built with tall crystal towers, glowing lights, and wide corridors filled with strange machines. Inside, the air smelled faintly of herbs and metals, a mix of natural remedies and advanced tools. One morning, a human vessel approached the docking gates. It was small compared to the great alien ships, but it carried the strength and history of Earth's explorers. The vessel had been on a long journey, passing through unknown sectors and difficult paths. The travelers were tired and some needed care. Among them was a young human named Ryan. He was not a soldier nor a commander, but an explorer who had traveled far from home to study the stars. His body was strong, but now he carried pain that he could not ignore. When the crew stepped out of the ship, the station staff welcomed them with polite formality. The aliens were tall and graceful, their skin shimmering with faint colors under the light. Their language was soft, full of tones that rose and fell like music. Translation devices helped bridge the gap, but still many words carried confusion. The aliens respected the humans, yet they did not fully understand them. Human biology was still a mystery to many of the station's doctors. Ryan was guided into the medical wing. His steps were steady, but his face showed discomfort. He explained to the translator that he felt a strange ache in the lower part of his body. The machine scanned him, but the results confused the staff. No sign of infection, no wound, no broken tissue appeared. It was as if the human body was sending signals they could not read. Nurse Laura was assigned to him. She was young among her people, but skilled. Her eyes glowed softly, and her hands moved with calm precision as she checked his pulse and breathing. She had studied many species, but humans were still new to her. She noticed the way Ryan tried to stay brave, hiding his pain behind quiet words. She respected that. The first tests were simple. Laura placed strange glowing stones along his body to measure his energy flow. She pressed a handheld device against his skin, listening to the rhythms inside, yet nothing made sense. His condition did not match any known illness in their records. The other staff whispered in curiosity. Some thought it was a hidden parasite. Others believed it might be a strange toxin from the human ship. Laura listened to them but stayed focused on her patient. Ryan lay on the medical bed, watching the alien lights move around him. He tried to explain, using simple words so the translator would not twist them. "It hurts here," he said, pointing. The words came out in the alien tongue as a phrase that sounded like energy flame between limbs. The aliens raised their brows, puzzled. They did not know if he spoke of fire or disease. Laura noted everything in her records. She felt unsettled, for she had never failed to recognize a pattern in a patient before. Still, she kept her calm expression. She asked Ryan to describe more, to show when the pain grew worse, to explain what he had eaten, where he had traveled, what creatures he had met. He answered as best he could, though the words often came out twisted by the translator. The room grew quiet, filled only with the hum of the machines. The glow of the monitors painted soft colors on the walls. Ryan thought of Earth, of the sky he once saw filled with clouds and the smell of rain. He wondered if he would see it again. Laura, on the other hand, thought of her duty. She could not let fear or ignorance harm her patient. She would find the truth no matter how strange. By the end of the first day, the staff gathered their results. Nothing matched the known patterns. The chief doctor frowned, but he allowed Laura to continue leading the case. She bowed respectfully and promised to solve the mystery. As the lights dimmed for the station's night cycle, Ryan closed his eyes, trying to rest. The strange ache still burned, and the alien whispers still filled the hall. Nurse Laura stood near, watching with quiet determination. She knew the human body held secrets, and tonight she had seen one more sign of how little they understood Earth's children. The arrival of the human ship had been routine, yet in one quiet room, a puzzle had begun. One that would test not only medical skill, but also the bond between two very different worlds. The next morning, the medical wing of Aurealis was alive with motion. Alien doctors and nurses moved efficiently through the halls, attending patients from every corner of the galaxy. Nurse Laura began her shift early, her glowing eyes scanning the room for signs of change in her human patient, Ryan. She approached his bed quietly. Ryan stirred as she entered, his face calm but tired. "Good morning," he said in words carefully shaped so the translator could understand. His tone was polite, almost cautious. Laura smiled slightly. She had learned that humans valued such greetings and small acts of kindness even under stress. "Good morning, Ryan," she replied. "How did you sleep?" He hesitated. "Sleep is okay, but the pain, it is still here," he said, gesturing carefully toward the lower part of his body. Laura nodded. She placed her hands lightly on his shoulders, feeling his tension. "We will continue our tests," she said softly, hoping to reassure him. The alien medical team gathered around, their curiosity evident. They examined Ryan's readings from the previous day, but the strange patterns persisted. The inflammation, as Laura had tentatively labeled it, showed no signs of infection, no swelling that matched known illnesses, and no foreign organisms. It was a mystery, and the station's staff whispered among themselves, speculation growing quietly like a storm. Some of the older alien doctors suggested that humans might carry hidden parasites that could survive in extreme conditions. Others feared toxins collected during long space journeys. The idea that Ryan might simply have a normal human condition never occurred to most of them. Laura listened carefully, her mind weighing possibilities. She could not allow fear or bias to cloud her judgment. "Perhaps it is a natural human function," Laura suggested quietly to the chief doctor. The words caused a ripple of surprise among the team. Few had considered that the human body might be normal yet unfamiliar. "We should observe him closely and compare with what humans report about their biology." The chief doctor raised his elongated head and regarded her with curiosity. His skin shimmered with pale blue. "You suggest it is not harmful?" he asked, his tone sharp with skepticism. "I do not know yet," Laura admitted. "But rushing to assume danger may harm the patient or mislead us. Let us gather more information first." Ryan tried to follow their conversation, though the alien words often blurred into strange sounds. He realized that explaining himself would be challenging. He took a deep breath. "I am normal," he said simply. "This is my body. It is not sick, just unusual for you." The translator rendered his words as best it could, though the phrasing made the staff exchange confused glances. Laura stepped forward. "He means that what we see is not necessarily a threat. We must be patient and learn more." For the next several hours, Laura ran a series of careful tests. She measured Ryan's energy flow, observed his posture, and monitored his vital signs. She noted that the pain increased slightly with stress or tension, but decreased when he relaxed. She also began recording his descriptions of the sensations, carefully translating his words for the medical log. The other staff grew more curious. A few alien nurses approached to observe. Their expressions combined fascination and caution. They whispered quietly among themselves, discussing the human condition. Some found it disturbing that they could not identify the source. Others became intrigued, seeing an opportunity to expand their understanding of an entirely new species. Ryan noticed the attention and tried to remain composed. He did not want to appear weak or strange. He explained small details about his daily routine and diet, gestures and words chosen carefully to make sense to the aliens. He described the long journeys, the hours of exercise, the way humans stretch their muscles to stay healthy. The aliens listened, puzzled yet attentive. Laura recorded everything. Her hands moved steadily over the tablet, noting not only the symptoms but also the behavioral patterns. She began to see a pattern emerge. The pain was not harmful. It was part of the way the human body responded to strain. It was unusual for alien physiology, but it was a natural mechanism, a signal that Ryan's body was adjusting and adapting. By midday, she decided to take Ryan for a gentle walk through the corridor. The station's corridors were wide, filled with soft light and quiet hums of machines. As Ryan moved slowly, Laura observed how his muscles adjusted, how his posture changed, and how the pain shifted. It was not static. It responded to activity and rest. The other staff watched with curiosity. Some were impressed by Ryan's endurance, noting how his body remained resilient despite the discomfort. Others still whispered about danger, unsure how to reconcile their fear with the observations. Laura guided the discussion, explaining that human physiology could be very different and that assumptions of illness could be mistaken. During the walk, Ryan smiled faintly. "This helps," he said. "Moving, less pain." Laura nodded. "Yes, the body tells us what it needs. We must learn to listen." Back in the ward, she began planning more controlled tests. She wanted to document human responses to light exercise, stress, and rest. She also planned to compare with other human records she requested from Earth. Each observation brought more clarity. Slowly, the medical staff began to realize that what they initially feared might be dangerous was simply a normal part of Ryan's biology. By evening, the whispers in the ward had shifted. Curiosity replaced fear, and the staff started discussing ways to study humans safely. Ryan, tired but cooperative, lay back in his bed, feeling a mixture of relief and continued discomfort. He realized that these aliens were learning, just as he was learning about their medical practices. Laura remained beside him, calm and observant. She reflected on the challenges of understanding a species so different from her own. Each day brought new insights, and she felt both excitement and responsibility. The human body was strange, yes, but it was also strong. It could endure, adapt, and survive. That night, as the station entered its quiet cycle, Laura returned to her quarters to review her notes. She realized that the confusion in the ward was not a failure. It was the beginning of understanding. Humans were unlike any species she had treated before. Their mysteries required patience, observation, and respect. Ryan, in his bed, drifted into a light sleep. The pain was still present, but he felt comforted knowing that someone was trying to understand him. He had survived long journeys and strange worlds. He could endure this as well. In the ward of Borealis, the stage was set for a deeper understanding between species. Confusion was the first step toward knowledge, and respect would follow. Nurse Laura watched over her patient, ready to face whatever challenges the human body revealed next. The day had been long and filled with uncertainty, but it had also been a day of learning, bridging gaps and beginning to see the strength hidden in human biology. The adventure of discovery was only just beginning. The morning sun of Borealis bathed the station in a soft, glowing light. Nurse Laura arrived early in the medical wing, her eyes scanning the rows of patients. Ryan lay in his bed, resting comfortably, though the faint ache in his lower body remained. Today, Laura resolved, she would uncover the truth behind this human condition that had confused her and the other staff for so long. She began by reviewing the notes she had collected over the past 2 days. Every observation, every detail of Ryan's movement, every description he had given of his sensations was carefully recorded. The patterns were subtle but present. The pain increased with stress, tension, or sudden movement, and it decreased with rest, stretching, or controlled activity. Laura's mind worked quickly, comparing these results with all known species in the station's medical database. Nothing matched. Human physiology, she realized, was unique. Ryan stirred and looked at her. "Good morning, Nurse Laura," he said, his voice calm. "I feel better than yesterday," Laura smiled. "Good. Today we will try some new observations. I want to understand your body better so we can make you more comfortable." The alien staff gathered around once more, curious to see the results of the new tests. Laura carefully explained her plan. "We will observe how the human body responds to different activities. We must note energy patterns, muscle tension, and stress signals. This may help us understand the cause of the discomfort." Ryan nodded, trusting her guidance. Together, they began a series of controlled exercises. Simple stretches first, then light walking, and finally gentle bending and turning movements. Laura monitored the readings from her devices, noting how energy flowed through Ryan's body. The readings fluctuated in ways she had never seen before. "Fascinating," one of the senior doctors whispered. "This is not illness. This is natural, but it is unlike anything we know." Laura recorded everything carefully. She noticed that Ryan's body had built-in mechanisms to protect him from injury. When certain muscles tensed, the lower body discomfort increased slightly, signaling the need for adjustment. When he relaxed and moved gently, the discomfort faded. It was as if the human body had an internal warning system, a way of guiding itself safely through stress. Ryan explained in simple words what he felt during each activity. "When I tense, it hurts," he said, pointing to the area. "When I relax, it eases." The translator rendered his words as best it could, though the aliens were still fascinated by the concept. Laura's mind raced. Humans were not fragile, she realized. They were resilient, adaptive, and clever. Their bodies could endure great stress, yet their internal signals guided them to avoid harm. This was a strength, not a weakness. The team began testing small variations. They introduced light temperature changes, minor shifts in gravity simulation, and different levels of exercise. Each time, Ryan's body responded predictably, sending clear signals through discomfort or ease. Laura recorded everything meticulously. Other staff members, initially wary, now leaned closer with interest. They asked questions, suggested tests, and learned from Laura's careful guidance. At midday, Laura paused to review the results with Ryan. "Your body is amazing," she said. "It tells you what it needs even when it is difficult to understand. It is very different from my species, but it is strong and clever." Ryan smiled faintly. "We survived many challenges. Our bodies learn." The translator repeated the words, and the aliens listened intently. Some murmured among themselves, impressed by the human capacity to adapt and endure. Laura felt a surge of pride for her patient. His courage and patience had made this discovery possible. In the afternoon, Laura decided to compare her observations with historical data sent from Earth. She accessed records of human explorers, their journeys, and medical reports. Slowly, the pattern became clear. The lower body discomfort Ryan experienced was a natural human response to strain and stress. It was not disease, injury, or parasite. It was part of how humans' bodies communicated internally. The realization brought a sense of relief to the ward. Fear turned into fascination. The whispers of danger ceased, replaced by discussions of study and understanding. Laura guided the team through her findings, explaining how human anatomy could seem strange to alien observers, but was actually a sign of resilience and adaptation. Ryan listened quietly. He had endured long journeys, difficult terrains, and many unknown worlds. Yet he had never imagined that simply existing in his own body could confuse other intelligent beings so deeply. He felt a sense of satisfaction. He was helping the aliens learn, just as he had learned from their advanced technology and culture. The day continued with careful observation. Laura encouraged Ryan to move naturally, to demonstrate his daily routine, and to explain simple tasks. She noted the subtle energy shifts in his body, the small signals of discomfort, and the ways he adjusted to avoid pain. Each moment added to their understanding. By evening, Laura convened a meeting with the senior staff. She explained in detail what they had learned. The human body was self-regulating, adaptive, and resilient. What had first seemed like a problem was actually a sophisticated system of internal communication. The station's chief doctor nodded slowly, impressed by the depth of her analysis. "This changes everything," he said. "Humans are far more capable than we assumed. Their bodies are not fragile. They are strong and their signals are clever." Laura smiled. She glanced at Ryan, who had returned to his bed after the long day. "Yes," she said softly. "We have misunderstood them. Now we can learn from them and care for them properly." Ryan felt tired but proud. The pain had not vanished entirely, but it no longer worried him as much. The aliens were beginning to understand him, and he had played a part in bridging that gap. For the first time in the ward, there was not just observation but also respect. As the lights dimmed for the station's night cycle, Laura reflected on the lessons of the day. The discovery had been more than medical. It was cultural, emotional, and intellectual. Humans were strange to alien eyes, yet their differences revealed strength, endurance, and intelligence. Understanding them required patience, careful observation, and willingness to learn. Ryan drifted into rest, feeling safe under the watch of Nurse Laura and the staff, who now approached him with curiosity rather than fear. The human body, with all its strange signals, had turned from a mystery into a testament of resilience. In the quiet of Borealis, the ward had changed. Confusion had given way to understanding, fear to fascination, and the bond between species had begun to grow. Nurse Laura knew that more challenges lay ahead. But today they had reached a milestone. The human body, once so perplexing, was finally understood as a marvel, not a threat. The adventure of discovery continued, but now it carried with it respect, patience, and the thrill of uncovering the strength hidden in every human being. The following morning, the medical wing of Borealis was calm, but charged with quiet anticipation. Nurse Laura moved through the hallways with purpose, her mind focused on Ryan. The past days of observation had brought clarity, but today she wanted to take their understanding further. She hoped to build trust, not just between herself and Ryan, but also between humans and the alien staff who still struggled to comprehend this strange physiology. Ryan was awake when she entered his room. He sat up slowly, stretching carefully to avoid triggering the familiar ache in his lower body. "Good morning," he said, smiling faintly. His voice was soft, polite, and patient. "Good morning, Ryan," Laura replied, returning his smile. How did you sleep? Better, I am learning. To rest, he said. His words, though simple, carried a quiet pride. He had endured long journeys, and now he faced alien curiosity with patience and honesty. Laura nodded. Today I would like to try something different. We will explore how your body moves in everyday activities, and we will observe how it communicates discomfort and relief. This will help the staff understand humans better, and it will help you feel more comfortable. Rian agreed. Together they began a series of gentle exercises, walking slowly through the soft-lit corridors, stretching carefully and performing simple motions. He allowed Laura and the staff to see how his body responded. She monitored his energy patterns, noting subtle signals that had previously gone unnoticed. Each movement revealed how human bodies could adapt and protect themselves in ways unfamiliar to alien medicine. As they proceeded, the other medical staff watched intently. Their curiosity had grown into genuine respect. They realized that the human body, though different, was not weak. In fact, its systems of signals and adaptation were remarkable. One of the younger alien nurses whispered to another, "They are more resilient than we thought." "This is impressive." Laura overheard the remark and nodded slightly. She understood that knowledge was slowly replacing fear. Human resilience was becoming clear to everyone in the ward. Ryan began to explain simple routines from his daily life. He showed how he stretched before physical activity, how he adjusted his posture, and how he rested when his body signaled the need. The alien staff observed carefully, taking notes and asking questions. Laura translated his words clearly, emphasizing the natural and adaptive aspects of his physiology. Humans learn from their bodies, she explained. Their discomfort is a guide, not a warning of illness. Their bodies are designed to endure and adapt. By midday, Laura decided to conduct controlled tests to demonstrate human adaptability. She introduced small, safe changes, varying the light in the room, adjusting temperature slightly, and providing different levels of exercise. Each time, Ryan's body responded predictably. Discomfort appeared as a signal, and adaptation followed as he adjusted his movements. The aliens watched, fascinated. Ryan noticed their interest and spoke with care. "This shows how we survive in hard places," he said. Laura's translation emphasized the strength behind his words. The staff began to see that human endurance was not luck or chance. It was built into their very physiology. As the afternoon progressed, Laura invited the chief doctor to observe directly. He approached cautiously, curious but still skeptical. Ryan moved carefully, demonstrating how subtle signals guided him through simple motions. The chief doctor's expression shifted from doubt to amazement. He nodded slowly, recognizing the sophistication of human adaptation. "This is remarkable," he said. "I see now that what we feared as weakness is actually strength. Humans endure and adapt. Their bodies are clever and resilient." Laura felt a sense of relief and satisfaction. The trust between human and alien was growing, built on honesty, patience, and careful observation. She looked at Ryan, who had remained calm and cooperative throughout the day. His willingness to explain himself and demonstrate his abilities had created a bridge of understanding. Ryan, in turn, noticed the change in the staff. The fear and confusion that had greeted him on arrival had largely disappeared. Their faces now showed curiosity, interest, and respect. He felt a sense of pride and satisfaction. His body, once a source of misunderstanding, had become a teacher. By evening, the ward had transformed. Staff members discussed how humans could adapt to conditions that might challenge even the most experienced alien travelers. Laura guided these discussions, emphasizing observation, patience, and learning. She encouraged everyone to see humans not as fragile beings, but as partners capable of enduring great stress and contributing to shared knowledge. Ryan rested in his bed, feeling a mixture of relief and pride. The ache that had worried him so much was now less concerning, because the staff understood it and he understood that they respected him. He realized that trust was not only about honesty, but also about patience and willingness to learn. Laura took careful notes, documenting every observation, every explanation, and every subtle signal that Ryan had shown. She wanted to ensure that future staff would benefit from this knowledge, so no human would be misunderstood or feared again. Her work would become a foundation for continued cooperation between species. As night fell over Aurealis, the station's lights dimmed to a soft glow. Ryan slept peacefully and the ward was quiet, filled with the sense of accomplishment that comes from understanding. Laura reflected on the lessons of the day. Patience, observation, and respect could transform fear into trust. Humans were not only resilient but also willing to share their knowledge even when misunderstood. The day's work had done more than ease discomfort. It had built a bridge of understanding. The alien staff had begun to see humans not as puzzles or risks, but as remarkable beings with strength, adaptability, and intelligence. Laura felt a quiet satisfaction in knowing she had played a role in fostering that understanding. The bond between Rian and Nurse Laura had deepened. It was built on patience, mutual respect, and the shared goal of understanding. In that quiet ward on a station orbiting a distant planet, trust had been earned, and the path for future cooperation between humans and aliens had been strengthened. Tomorrow promised further study, more discoveries, and new opportunities for learning. But tonight the ward rested in peace, filled with the quiet sense that two very different species had begun to understand each other, and that understanding, born of curiosity and patience, was the foundation of lasting respect. The morning on Aurealis was serene, with soft golden light reflecting off the station's crystal walls. Nurse Laura moved through the corridors with steady purpose. Today she felt a sense of excitement, for the understanding between humans and aliens had grown, and the lessons learned from Ryan's case were ready to be shared with the wider staff. Rian was awake in his room, stretching carefully to avoid triggering the lingering ache in his lower body. "Good morning, Nurse Laura," he said with a faint smile. His words were calm and patient as they had been each day. Laura returned his greeting warmly. "Good morning, Rian. How do you feel today?" "Better, I understand." "More," he replied. His tone reflected the quiet confidence he had developed. He had endured a long journey, faced unknown environments, and now helped another species understand the ways of his body. Laura nodded. "Today we will review everything we have learned and share it with the staff. Your cooperation has helped us greatly." The medical staff gathered in the main ward. Their expressions showed curiosity and respect. The previous days had transformed their understanding. What had first seemed strange and confusing was now recognized as a sign of human resilience and intelligence. The chief doctor nodded approvingly as Laura began to explain. She detailed her observations, how Ryan's lower body discomfort was not a disease, infection, or injury, but a natural human response to stress, movement, and tension. She explained how the signals indicated when to rest, stretch, or adjust posture, allowing the body to protect itself and adapt. The staff listened intently, taking notes and asking thoughtful questions. Rian demonstrated some of the movements himself, showing how he adjusted when discomfort appeared. Each action reinforced Laura's explanations. The aliens were fascinated by the precision of human adaptation and the way subtle signals guided behavior. "This is extraordinary," one of the senior nurses said, her voice filled with admiration. "Their bodies are not fragile. They endure challenges we cannot imagine." Laura smiled. "Yes, humans are capable of remarkable endurance. Their systems of signals are subtle but effective, guiding them safely through many situations. Understanding these signals allows us to care for them properly and to learn from their resilience." The staff began to discuss practical applications. How could they adjust treatment plans to accommodate human biology? What exercises or routines could help humans feel comfortable during long stays? How could the lessons learned from Ryan's case improve the care of other human travelers? Each question reflected growing respect and curiosity. Rian watched quietly, feeling a mix of pride and humility. His experience had become more than a personal journey. It had become a bridge between species. He had been misunderstood at first, but now he saw that honesty, patience, and willingness to explain oneself could transform fear into knowledge and respect. Laura guided the discussion further. "We must remember that every species has unique systems. Humans may seem strange at first, but their differences are strengths. By observing carefully and listening to their explanations, we can provide better care and foster understanding." The aliens nodded. Slowly, the initial fear of human physiology gave way to fascination and admiration. They began to see humans not as fragile or risky, but as capable, adaptable, and intelligent. Laura's careful documentation ensured that these lessons would be preserved for future staff and other stations across the galaxy. By midday, Ryan was invited to visit other wards to demonstrate simple human routines and explain how his body communicated signals. The staff approached respectfully, asking questions and observing carefully. Children of alien species visiting with their families looked on with curiosity. The humans' calm demeanor and clear explanations helped build trust beyond the medical staff, Laura observed with quiet satisfaction. The progress was remarkable. Fear and confusion had transformed into knowledge and admiration. Humans, she realized, were not just another species to treat. They were teachers, showing resilience, adaptation, and intelligence in ways her own species could learn from. During a quiet moment, Rian spoke softly to Laura. I'm glad you understand you. Respect, Laura smiled. Yes, Ryan. Your patience and honesty made all the difference. You helped us see humans as they truly are. The chief doctor approached, his usual formality softened by genuine respect. Your work, Nurse Laura, has changed our approach entirely. Humans are strong. Their signals guide them. We have much to learn, and you have led the way. Evening fell over the station. The light shifted to a soft glow, casting gentle reflections across the crystal walls. Ryan returned to his room, resting comfortably. The ache in his body was less concerning now because it had become a sign of his own resilience, not a warning of illness. He felt calm, confident that he had contributed to something meaningful. Laura remained nearby, reviewing her notes one final time before the day ended. She reflected on the journey they had taken together. From confusion and fear to discovery and trust, the process had strengthened bonds between species. Humans were no longer a puzzle or a concern. They were respected, admired, and understood. In the quiet of Borealis, the ward had transformed. What had once been an uncertain, confusing situation had become a story of understanding, respect, and cooperation. The human body, with its unique signals and resilience, had taught the aliens an important lesson. Differences are not weaknesses but opportunities to learn and grow. Ryan drifted into sleep, feeling secure under Laura's watchful eye. He thought of his journey, the challenges he had faced, and the trust he had earned. He realized that this experience, shared with being so different from himself, had strengthened his confidence and pride. The next day promised continued study, but tonight was a celebration of understanding. The ward was quiet, filled with the sense of accomplishment that comes when fear is replaced by respect, and confusion gives way to knowledge. Nurse Laura reflected on the lessons learned. Patience, observation, and willingness to listen were the keys to bridging gaps between species. Humans were remarkable, their bodies clever and resilient, and their minds capable of patience and teaching. Through cooperation and mutual respect, the alien staff had gained new knowledge and forged stronger bonds across worlds. The experience with Ryan became a foundational story for Borealis. It reminded the station staff that understanding and trust are earned through observation, patience, and willingness to learn. Humans had shown strength not only in their physical endurance, but also in their ability to communicate and teach others about their ways. As the station's lights dimmed for the night cycle, the ward rested in peace. Ryan slept comfortably, and Laura prepared for the days ahead, confident that the lessons learned would guide future interactions between humans and aliens. The misunderstanding, once a source of worry, had become a foundation of respect, knowledge, and cooperation. In the orbiting station of Borealis, a new understanding had been achieved. Humans and aliens, once separated by fear and difference, had begun to see each other clearly. Trust had been built, knowledge had been shared, and respect had grown. The journey of discovery was ongoing, but the bridge between their worlds was now strong, ready to support future explorers and foster continued collaboration across the galaxy. The story of Ryan and Nurse Laura would be remembered, not for confusion or discomfort, but for the lessons of patience, observation, and the remarkable resilience of the human body and spirit. It was a story of cooperation, understanding, and the beginning of a new chapter in interspecies friendship.